Ho, 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 this is Santa Dog. Christmas Eve here at fingerlegs1.com. You like the cap? Hey, I'm getting ready to take off. Coming out of the North Pole, I'll be visiting your home. And you kiddies watching the dog, Santa Dog this morning will get lots of gifts. If you've been bad, you might get a bag of coal. I know there's a lot of bags of coals that the old Santa's going to be handing out today on this show. So welcome. Merry Christmas, everybody. Ho, ho, ho. You know, Santa sometimes gets carried away and goes off the beaten path in the world of sports and goes on to other topics that have absolutely nothing to do with sports. And I thought I would start off my Christmas Eve show with a little story about Benton, New York. Where the hell is Benton, New York? I think it's near Route 54, near the Penn Yan area. Santa caught his one eye reading an article that just blew me away. It takes a lot to blow this big gut away, but I ought to tell you something. Supposedly a young man got picked up for DWI. He also nailed a couple of cars en route to try to go home. He got arrested. They had a trial down there in old Benton, New York. And guess what? The jury was out for 30 minutes, finding the young man guilty of all charges. The judge announced a sentence of 6 months in jail, plus a bunch of fines, and plus probation. Well, guess what? My good friend, who's a good judge, Dennis Bender of Seneca County fame, reversed the conviction because the town justice, or whatever his title is down there in old Benton, New York, a guy named David Grace, had one slight problem. Guess who was in the jury box? David Grace, who was the judge, his mother-in-law was in the jury box. Come on, man. Come on, Benton, New York. Now, I don't know anything about law. I love law. I love to follow law. I hope someday before I croak that they'll show Supreme Court arguments on TV. I really get enthused to watching legal arguments. But how could the judge allow his mother-in-law to sit in the jury box? And a young lady named Adrienne Mua, the prosecutor, allowed it to happen as well. I'll tell you right now, if I was a defense attorney, old Santa, I'd be smiling ear to ear, because I knew that my man or my girl was guilty of sin, but it would be reversed because the mother-in-law was in the jury box. Come on, man. Come on, Benton, New York. For you, Mr. David Grace, and for you, Adriana Mua, Santa later tonight's going to drop 20 bags of coal at your home down your chimney. You both have been very, very naughty. Unfreaking believable. Leave it to Benton, New York to have the dog start off my Santa show with blasting you folks. Come on, man. Use your head out there in the world of legal jurisprudence. Let's go to the world of local basketball. You know, Santa's got an opportunity to watch some great teams. And fingerlegs1.com's on a break right now. We'll resume our basketball coverage right after the holidays. Don't you be fretting that. Our broadcast team of Jim Senecrope, the owner, along with Jeremy Hunt, Kevin Korzenewski, David Barnick, Brendan Harrington, Matt Verkey. The team's taking a little bit of a holiday break, but we'll be back after the first of the year. But I'll tell you, it was an early showdown between the Waterloo girls and the Geneva girls, both undefeated. And the Waterloo girls take it. The Geneva girls winning by some 16 the other night. Santa Dog would like to say congratulations goes out to the Waterloo girls who just keep on motoring. And don't you overlook those Geneva girls because, as Arnold Schwarzenegger would say, I'll be back. And the Miners Academy boys with a couple of miscues this year. Everybody expects them to win every game. They're still a fine ball club, and they're going to win their number this year. Don't you worry about that. They also knocked off their arch rival Waterloo. Waterloo having a tough year in boys basketball. And Santa's message to all the Waterloo boys, hang in there, keep your chins up. It's obviously going to be a down year for you, but losing makes you stronger. So hang in there, the Waterloo boys, from Santa Dog. Well, you know, it's amazing. Once you're a champ, once you're the king, and all of a sudden you get upset by the Temple Owls. Shirley Temple. I like to pick on Shirley Temple on this show, as you know, for years, because I wonder, how the hell can anybody lose to Temple? Temple's a great university, but for sports, not exactly. SU rolling an undefeated record going to the Madison Square Garden, which is their home away from home from the Carrier Dome. They got upset by the Temple Owls a few days ago, shocked the nation. Syracuse will nosedive now in the standings, but it's early. It's amazing. Everybody made a big deal of Boeheim's 900th win, and now, of course, there are people calling for a scalp. Isn't it amazing how the world of sports works? They only want to know, what have you done for them lately? So Boeheim now needs to pick up the pace and get his kids to make some FTs. What's that mean? Free throws. That cost them dearly, and it cost them a loss to Temple of all teams. Well, it's Santa Claus here, Santa Dog, on a Christmas Eve. Shh, Doogie Marrone, Marcus Sproul. Will Marcus make the trip to the Pinstripe Bowl, which takes place this coming Saturday, 3:15, ESPN. Chris Fowler of ESPN fame will be in the broadcast booth calling the game. Nobody's made a comment about the Sproul incident for weeks. We all know that he got picked up for missing curfew, disorderly conduct, and harassment of a cop. But the consensus was that Sproul would not make the trip for punishment reasons. Aha! The Doogie man, Marrone, says, I'll handle it internally. What does that mean? Does that mean his starting linebacker is going to make the trip, get the good meals, get the trinkets by going to the Pinstripe Bowl, maybe get a pinstripe jacket, and get the rewards that young kids should get if you make a bowl? But if you keep your nose clean, Santa says, no. Where there's an action, there's always a consequence. In my judgment, and many other people, they've been hammering Marrone in the Post-Standard with letters to the editor saying that it's the wrong message to put this Sproul on the traveling squad to the Big Apple this weekend. Check it out, folks. He wears number 11. Shh, Doogie's keeping it low profile because ugly Nancy Cantor, the president of Syracuse, and that other idiot, Darryl Gross, the AD, have not stepped in and told Marrone he will not make the trip. So just check it out. Shh, keep it low profile because Doogie Marrone wants to do it his way. And God forsake, winning a football game against West Virginia is better than disciplining a young man who deserves to be punished for what he did. Number 11, let's see if he's there come Saturday. ESPN, game time, 3:15. And you go back, Santa goes back and thinks about Jim Boeheim. Jim's kind of a miserable-looking guy. He's got a beautiful wife, but he's not the most handsome guy in the world. He's a multimillionaire. I'll give him credit for that. He come out of Lyons, New York, where the dog was born. He's done fabulous things. He deserves everything that he's attained. But all of a sudden, there's detractors. This guy named, what is his name? My God almighty. Doug Gottlieb. He works for CBS. He does a lot of online writing. He does a lot of blogging. He writes this long epistle a few days ago that I read. It takes you a while to read it. You might want to take it on an airplane ride to California because it's long. His headline is, Boeheim, great guy, lots of wins. A great coach, not so fast. He goes into this editorializing about Boeheim, padding his schedule. Basically, Jim Boeheim is not to be considered one of the great basketball coaches of our time. Basically, he gives a million reasons why Jim should not be considered of the elite. He likes him to be like a sirloin steak, not the filet mignon. Interesting article. You can decide how you feel after reading it, but this Gottlieb guy definitely has an axe to grind with Jim Boeheim. Interesting read. Old Santa Dog gets so tired of talking about certain teams, that worthless team down there at the Ralph. Oh, my God. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But, oh, my God, another team that Santa can't handle. Santa can't take many more Christmases like following those mutts. And the sad news is they're on Channel 46, and you somehow have to channel surf. Once in a while, you see those clowns playing baseball, if they call it that. Now, here's the situation. R.A. Dickey, granted, he's no spring chicken. I'll be the first to admit it. Good old Santa, see this? I'll be the first to say he's no spring chicken. But my God, he was 20-6 a year ago. He had a great ERA of 2-point-something. Oh, my Lord, nobody could beat this guy. He got slapped around a couple of games, but he was 20-6, and he won the Cy Young Award. So let me tell you how this works. Sandy Alderson, the general manager who hands out the paychecks. Good old Dickey's camp wanted $26 million for 2 years, $13 million a year. They offered him $20 million, $10 million a year. Now, I don't know about you, but Santa gets so sick and tired of these mutts, a.k.a. Mets. They're such a bunch of cheap maggots. We're talking about $6 million. $6 million to Santa and to you is a lot of money. But to a Major League Baseball franchise, that is pennies. Pennies. Why in the hell would you not re-sign R.A. Dickey? Yeah, I know he's old, but he throws a knuckler, and it could still be effective for a couple more years. And you know what? You don't know what you're going to get from Johan Santana if he ever comes back the way he used to be. These young kids look impressive one day. They get bombed the next game. My point is, Santa Dog is so sick and tired of their decisions at the New York Mets front office. I want to gag here on this show, but I won't do it because I know you're getting ready to eat in a few hours. My point is, they blow it again. Instead of paying this guy $13 million a year, keeping him on the roster, keep putting him out in the mound every 5 days, they decide to offer only $20. And you know what, folks? That's why they are losers. Losers, losers, because they make stupid decisions. I'm not agreeing with the fact they should have signed him to a 10-year deal. How about 2 years? I think Dickey still is effective. He now goes to Toronto. And oh, by the way, Bulletin, who do you think Las Vegas has the favorite to win the World Series next year? Toronto. That's right. You never thought you'd hear that, did you? Toronto is the favorite to win the World Series next year with their acquisitions, topped off by the pickup of R.A. Dickey. Oh, my Lord. Oh, speaking of pain, I go from the Mutts to the team that I just despise. Western New York, the Ralph. Oh, my God. Oh, yes, Bulletin, they lost again yesterday. Let me see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 losses this year. If you're keeping track, myself and Jimmy were Minders graduates. They play 16. They've lost 10. That means they won 5. They got 1 to go. Yeah, going to be great, isn't it? Another great season. Chan Gelly now has been there 3 years, and he's lost double digits all 3 years. I guess the question Santa Dog has to ask you, the sports fan, is when the hell are they going to fire Chan Gelly and Buddy Nix? I got a solution. Santa's been thinking about this long and hard before I came into this show. You like this thing? My point is they got to clean house totally. They got to get rid of the ticket takers, the people that sell the beer. They got to get rid of everybody. Everybody, from the clerk in the front office to the marketing geniuses. Get rid of everybody. The CFO, the COO, everybody connected. The only ones that stay is the old man, Ralph Wilson, who's 94, and his kids. That's it. You get all new employees. You start brand new. You get a clean sheet of paper. See that? Santa's going to hold us up. That's what you should have with that worthless team in Western New York. Clean sheet of paper. Get rid of all of that disease, the malaria that is affecting Western New York called the Jills or Bills. Do you believe now? 13 years now without a playoff spot. 8 years in a row with losing records. Santa can't take it anymore. And now that stupid governor of ours, Governor Cuomo, just gave him $100 and some million to keep him around for 10 more years in Western New York. Well, I got a tip for you. Santa Dog, when I come out tonight to make my rounds, I'm dropping off a little piece of equipment. You can buy them at Radio Shack, but Santa's going to give them to you for nothing. You put it in the back of your TV, and it blacks out the CBS affiliates totally, and you won't have to watch that worthless bunch of crap called the Buffalo Jills. I've had it with that. Speaking of having it, I had a chance to meet Channel 8's John Kutchko, the sports director of Channel 8 TV up in Rochester. He's been doing that gig for over 25 years. Nice guy. Great family. Great engaging young man. I think I met him 12, 15 years ago at a sports banquet that was in Canandaigua. He came and spoke. You know what his job is? He's sports director, truly. Even though he's in the third of 3 stations in Rochester, they always lag behind. 13 is number 1. Channel 10, our buddy Rich Funky just retired last week. And CBS Channel 8. They're always third in the rankings, which I guess you try to be number 2 or try to get to number 1. But Kutchko's had to deal with the fact that he's third in the city of Rochester. But as sports director, you think you could delegate certain responsibilities. One thing that John Kutchko has always done, which blew me away, and I needled him about it when I met him, he likes to go to the Ralph to watch these clowns play football. He also likes to get on airplanes and fly with the team when they go away. What? Santa Dog wants to know what is wrong with that guy's head. Why would you not hire a $7 clerk and let him go on those games? Why do you have to go through the pain and the agony of watching these ridiculous Barnum and Bailey circus act every week? But John Kutchko still now, even now, 25 years later, decides to travel and cover the most worthless team in NFL history, the Jills. Do you think they sell enough Tums for the tummy if you had that assignment? It is commercial break. Santa Dog with you on Christmas Eve 2012. Oh, Santa, don't you go anywhere. I got more when I come back. Welcome back. A Santa Dog special here on a Christmas Eve 2012. How you like the hat? We're going to be on our way tonight. Don't you worry. We got the sleighs all tied up with bags of coal for many of you. We also got lots of gifts for the ones that have been good. So if you got Santa on your mind, not to worry. I'll be arriving. And oh, by the way, moms and dads that are checking me out, I like chocolate chip cookies, and I do not like white milk. Santa Dog likes chocolate milk. So if you leave out the cookies for me at about 3 in the morning, make sure there's 2 chocolate chip cookies and chocolate milk. If you leave me white milk, I won't leave a thing in your house. Nothing. And let's go to the NFL. Santa Dog takes a look at what's happening. We all know about the worthless team in Western New York. Need not to talk about those bums anymore. How about them Cowboys? They played a heartbreaker, down 14 with 5 to go. They end up losing in overtime to the revitalized Saints, and Dallas still is in the hunt. If they beat the Redskins next week, they're in. If they lose, they're out. You know, I never thought on this Santa Dog show that I would ever say anything derogatory about my friend Tom Coughlin. Tommy, of course, 2-time Super Bowl coach. Fabulous job. And no, they're not going to fire Tom if they don't make the playoffs. They got to beat Philly next week, and they got to get help to get in the playoffs. But I got to tell you something, folks, and I love Tommy Coughlin. I think, with all honesty, Tommy has lost the team. I hate to say it. They're playing like a bunch of bumbling, stumbling, fumbling idiots. They gave up to Baltimore Ravens. They gave up 537 yards in offense. Come on. Come on, man. 537 yards to the Ravens? So I hate to say it, because I love Tom Coughlin, but I think he's lost the team. It's going to take a semi-miracle for Tom to get back in the Super Bowl and to get in the playoffs, for that matter. And by the way, don't worry. I don't see them firing Tommy, because you don't fire a guy that's won 2 Super Bowls for you, but I really think that he has really lost connection to that squad. Indy, KC, how many of you folks out there in Santa Land would have ever expected those Colts with Andrew Luck at quarterback to win 10 games? Raise your hands. Yeah, don't raise your hand. You're getting a bag of coal. 10 wins? Andrew Luck? Peyton who? Don't badmouth Peyton. He's really on a roll out there in Denver. What do they won, 10 or 11 straight? You got to give credit to that young kid and that unbelievable franchise. Speaking of unbelievable franchise, Santa knows that Pete Carroll, formerly a Southern Cal coach, is a very controversial head football coach. Why? He gets you down. He wants a step on you. He does a fake punt against the Jills, that team in Western New York, that worthless franchise, and he tries to roll up the score, and he does. The other coaches don't like him for that. He is a bad boy. He's going to get a bag of coal, too, because when he gets you down, he wants to step on your throat. It's okay when you're playing well, but what goes around comes around. Make a note of that. And oh, by the way, they just hammered San Fran last night on Sunday Night Football. They destroyed them. Santa couldn't stay up to watch the whole game. It was 42-13. Good night, Irene. Good morning, good afternoon. Good night, San Fran. They got whomped. By the way, when you think of Seattle, as Santa does, because I'll be heading to Seattle later to drop off the gifts, what do you think of Seattle? Seattle means to you what? Starbucks. You know what they also remind you of, and they are? They have the best raucous crowd in the world of sports. Any sport. My God, if you get a chance to do a replay of that game online, if you can pick it up, check out that crowd. That's every week. You got to give credit where credit is due. The Seattle Seahawks have the best, the loudest, most raucous crowd in all of sports. I have never, Santa, for the half that I watched last night, ever seen a crowd as pumped up in a driving rainstorm than the Seattle Seahawk crowd. So kudos from Santa Dog to the Seattle crowd. Now, they're not only known for Starbucks, they also have the greatest 12th man in the world of football. Nobody's even close to Seattle for a home crowd. You don't believe me? Try to go online today and pick up some of that game and just listen. In a driving rainstorm, nobody was heading to the concession stand. They were pumped up. And that's every week that they are when they play home games. Well, you know, Santa doesn't like contract problems. No, Santa doesn't like it. But, you know, Santa has been praying that the NHL stays dark forever. And why is that? Because Santa feels the owners have screwed the players over for years on contracts. Oh, Santa's done some research and proven that the owners are greedy. They're a bunch of greedy pigs. Most teams, most player unions usually cave in, and they sign the dotted line. They don't always get the best deal, but they want to go back on the baseball diamond or the basketball court. Well, guess what? Santa was praying that the NHL players would say, enough already. Shut it down. Turn the lights off. The party's over. Guess what? They've shut the lights off for months. There's no talks in sight. Yes! I don't care if they ever play hockey again, because you know what? Somebody's going to blink. It's like you driving down the road and one of your enemies is driving the other way, and you're coming at each other about 95. Who blinks first? Who turns the steering wheel? Guess what? Santa applauds the NHL players for hanging tough, because after all, they are the players that the people want to watch, not the greedy pig owners. So congratulations as we approach Christmas to the NHL owners for continuing to keep the lights out until they get a fair deal. And if that never happens, turn them off forever. Santa loves it. By the way, speaking of, men's and men's, I got lukewarm reception on this. You know, if you follow the world of golf, and I think I do follow it pretty closely, there's a guy in Europe from Scotland named Colin Montgomerie. What is Colin Montgomerie? He has that ugly, scary look face. Very rude to the American public. When he came over years ago, he didn't like people cheering and screaming and applauding. When he missed a 3-footer, they would applaud. He thought that was a classless move. And the American golf fan turned on Colin Montgomerie and would goat Colin every time he teed it up in the States. Well, Santa just noticed, and you probably did too, that Colin Montgomerie got elected to the World Golf Hall of Fame. Now, Santa's looking at his resume, and it's as follows. Yes, excellent Ryder Cup player, check. Lots of European Tour wins, check. Winner of majors, no check. Winner of any tournament in the USA, no check. This guy had never won a tournament in the USA. He's been here a lot to play. Now he's old. He's playing just a few tournaments. But when he was in his prime, he came to the States and played a lot. Never won. He had lots of chances to win majors. I'll never forget the U.S. Open when he went from a 6-iron to a 7-iron into the 18th green from the middle of the fairway and blocked it right, ended up double bogey in the hole. And I think that was the year Jeff Ogilvy won, and that was the year that Mickelson gagged as well. But my point is, Colin Montgomerie has never won a tournament in the States, and he's never won a major, not one single major. So you have to wonder, Santa Dog wonders, what kind of criteria are the Hall of Fame people looking at to determine who gets in, who gets out, who doesn't get in? It seems to me that they really must have been drunk when they voted him in, because it doesn't appear that he has a strong enough resume to be elected into the Hall of Fame. That's Santa Dog's opinion. What do you think? Colin Montgomerie, yes, great Ryder Cup player, but they only play that every 2 years. I don't think so, but he's in. A lot of controversy on Colin Montgomerie. Well, I was happy to find out, I know that Jim agrees, that Shane Sweeney is going to stay close to home. That fine athlete up in Geneva, that excellent football player and superb basketball player. He probably plays chess very well, because when you're super on the basketball court and the football field, you probably can do anything well. Shane Sweeney has announced that he's made a verbal commitment to be a Dane at the University of Albany. Albany. So Shane Sweeney is sticking close by. What's it, a 2.5-hour drive from Geneva, something like that? So he's going to be near his parents and his friends. And all of us at FingerLakes1.com Sports are thrilled to see that Shane Sweeney will be going and becoming a Dane for Albany. I think he'll do well at that school. So congratulations, Shane, from Weber on Sports here on a Santa Dog special. And I know Jim Senacropi and everybody, including Matt Verke, who you appeared on their show Upstate Hoops a couple of weeks ago, echo my sentiments. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's about time that I go get some of those gifts ready to put on the back of my sleigh. It's also time for me to get those bags of coal all mounted up on the back of the sleigh as well, because I'm going to tell you, there's going to be a lot of people getting coal tonight, and there's going to be a lot of people and a lot of you kids going to get lots of gifts. If you've been good, you're going to get some good stuff. If you've been bad, you don't get near that chimney because you might get hit in the head with a bag of coal. Remember, Santa Dog reminds you, chocolate chip cookies too, and chocolate milk, not white milk. I hate white milk. You got that? So ho, 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 Merry Christmas, everybody. Join us next week when we do our New Year's Eve special, a week from today at 9:30. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. Santa Dog signing off.